better. My phone's got lowish battery, so we'll see. Maybe that's our issue. Verizon's also pretty questionable around here sometimes, so that could also be the issue. From, man? Doing pretty good. How are you doing? Absolutely, Chris. My pleasure. Thank you for thanking me. A lot of, I don't know. It's what makes the world go around though, right? What do you do for a living? We all gotta do our part, that's for sure. Many of us is, I don't know. Hey, New Glarus, alright. We're out of Wisconsin. You north or south? Because I'm about an hour away from the border or so. Not planning to take anything right now. So we just finished taking our corn crop off this field. So right now I'm doing tillage on the corn. Getting the corn residue buried, breaking up the compaction, and getting it ready for the winter. So by doing the tillage, we're burying the corn residue. Kind of helps reset the disease cycle, if you will, and lets microbes that are living in the soil eat away at the residue and help it decompose. So I'm not planting anything right now. But at this time of year, if I was planting, there's some guys out there planting winter wheat right now. Winter wheat will plant it in the fall, and then it overwinters, and then it grows during the spring. Alright, later, Chris. Yes, I do have guns, but no, not for what I do. Farming does not usually involve a lot of guns, and hopefully it stays that way. I would love to hunt, but I really don't have the time to do it. And I guess if I did have the time, I probably wouldn't put it there, but... Nice. Germany. I would love to go to Germany sometime. I've had a few buddies stationed there that are in the military. I've never had the privilege of visiting though. So, but everything I've heard though is great. I've been to Switzerland, and I've been to Sweden. I guess Sweden's more relevant. Sweden was pretty awesome, but never Germany. No, not really. We used to, as far as animals go, we've got chickens, and we have a dog and way too many cats. But no livestock. Really, other than the chickens. We used to have 4 horses on the farm, but no more. So mostly just grain, corn, beans, pumpkins, and sweet corn. Second, I've got to take my eyes off chat for a second. Believe it or not, I am actually driving this tractor. And right now we're going along my neighbor's field, so I got to make sure I, for the most part, stay on my side. There's not much of a fence line here. Like an imaginary line that we both know is there. Kendall, sorry. You're thinking. Yeah. That sounds like the life. Drinking beer and watching tractor videos. It's almost like the real thing. The best part about that is you don't have to fix the machinery when it breaks down. You can just sip your beer and watch other people fix machinery. That's pretty cool, John. I know nothing about farming cotton, but I do know soybeans. But yeah, it's awesome knowing where your family came from. I feel like we're getting farther and farther away from our roots, of our farming roots, and, you know, knowing where our food comes from. We're realizing that milk doesn't just come from the store. I don't know, I feel like farmers are just becoming fewer and fewer. And I feel like as a society as a whole, we're getting more and more detached from the world of agriculture. So, yeah, it sounds like that's the kind of childhood that I want my children to have, running around with bare feet. It's just increasingly becoming more and more rare. So regardless of where you are, I mean, that's pretty much worldwide. I think we're starting to lose touch. Potatoes and carrots, root crops. All right. See, and I would love going to, like, I can grow potatoes and carrots in a garden, but not on a mass scale. Like, there's, you know, I've seen carrots being harvested by machines, and it's so mind-blowing to me, and potatoes for that matter. Like, I'm so detached from that world, you know, like, go farm and help out for a season just to learn what they can teach me. So potatoes, I mean, and then I'll take a random stab. Are you from Idaho? Or maybe you're not even from the States, I don't know. I'll go with Idaho or Scotland. Two very different areas, but those are my top two guesses for where you're from. Just because of potatoes. I really don't know if Scotland grows carrots though. They grow carrots because you got shepherd's pie. You can't have shepherd's pie without carrots. Well, I'm assuming you're not from Scotland. Oh, what's up, Welder Brando? Oregon, all right. That's a little off, not terribly. I've never been to Oregon. Do you enjoy Oregon? I don't know. I don't know if I've actually ever met anybody from Oregon. Like, how is it as a state? How is it to live there? One second, I'm not looking at the check right now, just taking care of this fence row, but I'll be looking here more momentarily. Yeah, I think you'll find that most anywhere, Kendall. I mean, not necessarily the state being fantastic, because I'm not gonna lie, Illinois is okay as far as the state goes. It's pretty much just farmland. But we all have our butthole parts of the state. Like, we have Chicago, which is fun to visit every other year, maybe for a day or two. But like I'm not gonna bash Chicago, but at the same time, I'm not a fan of Chicago. Michigan's got Detroit. Like everybody's got their. I don't know. I kind of want to like separate Chicago and make it a state of its own, because I'm not a big fan. But hey, you got the mountains, the ocean, like, I don't know, I could definitely see the draw of living there, for sure. I can tell you, and I said it in my last stream, like, if it weren't for farming, I probably wouldn't be sticking around Illinois. Who knows, maybe I'd go move to Oregon. Alright, I'm gonna get turned around here and then focus on what I'm doing. I'm coming up to the neighbor's house here pretty quick. And I should probably pay attention so I don't rip their yard out. I think I might just do it now. Take it nice and slow. Then you guys can all watch me on the live stream and laugh when I start ripping their lawn. That's gonna be way too slow though. I need to find it. Try A3. A3 should be okay. Alright. I hate farming against people's actual properties that they live at. Whether I'm planting or spraying or chisel plowing or anything, I always feel so, I don't know, I always feel like I'm gonna do something wrong to destroy their lawn. And normally the people are really cool, and these people are the people that live in this house. They're really cool. But regardless, I'm sure they wouldn't appreciate it if I ripped out their lawn. So. Nice and slow. I feel like I'm being watched too. I feel like they're staring at me outside their window. But I can never look over to see if they are because I gotta focus on what I'm doing. I guess it doesn't matter if they're watching me or not, as long as I'm doing the best I can. Cards that say something like, sorry I ripped out your rose bush with my tractor. It doesn't look too bad. I'd honestly like to get a little closer, but I'm not going to do it this time. Back to high gear. Somebody keep track of the time for me, because I'm not really looking at the clock. Told my wife I'd be home by 5. I don't think I'm anywhere near there. But no, hey look. I can see the time while I'm streaming. 2:42. Oh yeah, I'm good. That's one of the luxuries of farming, is your schedule, although it's very intensive and demanding, it's also very flexible. You got a lot of work to do, and it's hard work. But at the same time, if your wife says, hey, I need you home by 5, in theory, you should be able to be home by 5. And hopefully your wife respects you enough that she's not going to ask you to be home by 5 if she doesn't really need you. You know, there's that understanding. So, but if you're home by 5, well, anytime you park the tractor, you know that tractor's not going to drive itself, and you don't have somebody else coming in to run it for you. And so that work's not getting done unless you do it yourself. So I mean, you can clock out, go on vacation, and twiddle your thumbs, but the more that you do that, the more work you have lined up down the road. Then it piles up piles up. Alright, we're just about done with these short rows and we can get back to actually getting some work done. All this bouncing and turning, it's kind of making me sick to my stomach a little. Someone should call the ambulance. Once I get this pass done, I should be able to look at the chat. I'm not sure if you guys are even here. I might just be talking to myself right now. Which, honestly, even if I wasn't live streaming, I probably would just be talking. Talking, singing, slapping myself in the face to stay awake. Alright guys, I'm here. What's up? Over to bowling. I like that, John. Sorry, I had to catch up with all the chats. I like that though. Nothing wrong with talking to yourself as long as you don't answer. Welcome everybody. It's 240 dropped down to 102. Holy cow, man. Just like that. Hey, I appreciate you hanging out, John. I'm happy to hear about your childhood in the country, and hopefully you can get back out there sometime. I don't know if you still have family in Louisiana, but hopefully you can get there and visit them and enjoy the country once more. Because yeah, city life is just something that it lacks. So, but enjoy it. Have a good day at work. See you, man. I'd sing, but nobody wants that. What do you want me to talk to you about? I'd be happy to talk. Any questions? Anything I can pretend like I know something about? Not really. Especially not this. For chisel plowing, what I'm doing right now, there's just so much that you can do while you're in the cab. So right now I've got auto steer. I have to turn on the ends, but really right now the tractor's driving in a straight line by itself. So at this point, this is probably the easiest job of farming right here. Because I don't have to for planting. For planting, you have to, let me turn this thing around. The hardest part, turning it around, as long as it doesn't break. Let's find our next. There you go. Like planting, you're worried about your seed depth, you're worried about like your seed depth, your seed spacing, your population, you've got a ton of different factors that you're focused on, and then you have to refill the plant, or there's just so many, and everything that you do in farming has a lot to it. This essentially, you watch the chisel plow and you make sure that all the discs are spinning straight, meaning that like if it's wobbly, you probably have the bearing out and you have to fix the bearing. Just make sure that nothing's broke. Otherwise, you just make sure you got good coverage, make sure you're not clumping, make sure, but you just kind of, it's very relatively therapeutic, if you will. I think it's kind of nice. It's a relaxing job. Once again, as long as you don't break down. If you break down, it turns into one of the worst jobs, because this thing is a sucker to fix. But as long as it doesn't break down, you're smooth sailing. So as far as being monotonous, basically to answer your question, I can bring a book out here and I can read a book and just every once in a while I'll glance up and make sure that, oh yeah, yep, everything's turning as it should. Like, I can do my Christmas shopping. I can do, years ago, I'm like, hey, shoot, I'm gonna play Pokemon Go. I'm gonna hatch all my eggs. I walked so many miles according to Pokemon Go because I had my iPad with me that I had it on, and I just had it running in the background the whole entire time. Every time I was out in the field doing anything, I had Pokemon Go going. And so at the end of the day, I'd swing by all the Pokestops, stock up on my eggs, so that the next day I could hatch them all again. I'd hatch all 9 eggs every single day. But anyways, that's kind of a thing of the past, but it was fun. So, but I don't know. No, we're in Illinois right now. Pretty close to Iowa, it's a good guess. But no. So still a corn belt, but we're in northern Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago. So DeKalb County. And no, I didn't inherit the farm. I guess you'd call me third generation farmer. I mean, farming has been in my family for longer than that. But no, I'm third generation. I'm 35. So, and the majority of the ground that we farm is all rented acres. So my parents do own part of what we farm, but the majority is rented out. So, and that goes, most farmers rent the majority of their land. Some own it, some are fortunate enough to own it, because that would cut back on your input costs quite a bit. Rent is one of the highest amounts that you pay every year to farm, between rent and seed, and then fertilizer. But no, we rent most of our ground. Young is a relative term. Definitely younger, but I started farming 11 years ago. I started farming back in 2013. And it actually wasn't my plan. I wasn't planning on farming. Last year of college, and our neighbor retired from farming. He was hanging up the reins, and basically he told me that he could rent his land to me for a fair price if I wanted to get my feet underneath me. So I graduated from college with an unrelated degree, and took my neighbor up on his offer, rented some land from him, and here I am 11 years later farming with my dad. It's a huge blessing, but yeah. So I guess, yeah, I am 35 years young, but I've been at this for a good solid 11 years. I wanted to jump on. Let me get straightened out here real quick. Appreciate it higher. Appreciate that a lot. Gary, let's see. Where am I farming or what am I farming? So where I'm farming, I'm about an hour west of Chicago in northern Illinois. What I'm farming, this was corn this year. We just took this corn crop off here 2 or 3 weeks ago. We finished harvesting our corn, and so now I'm turning the soil over. We're doing our tillage right now. The purpose of tillage is basically we're breaking up the compaction. So all throughout the year, you're driving on the soil with a planter, with a sprayer, with the combine, the dump carts, the semi on the end rows, like. So you're packing down that soil pretty tight, and so right now I'm busting that compaction up, because if you could imagine, well, think about like a combine load. Our combine will hold like 300 bushels. So you're talking like, I'm gonna take a stab. I'll say 15 to 16,000 pounds on the combine, and then if you fill the dump cart full, that's gonna haul, I don't know, 50,000 pounds, and then the semi holds, 80,000 is your legal limit for the road. So you got all that weight going across your field, and in theory you want to drive as little on the field as possible because you don't want to pack all the soil down, but you have to, at least a little bit. And so when you're packing, you got all that weight traveling across the soil, packing it down tight, well then you try to grow a crop the next year, and that seed's gonna have a really hard time pushing through that soil. It's gonna be like concrete in some conditions. And so you get out there with your tillage and you bust that soil up, you bust that compaction up, so you can have an easier job planting the next year. So the seeds can kind of poke their head through the ground a little easier. There are guys out there who don't do any tillage at all, and there's definitely benefits to going that route. But that's not what we do. Usually, most of those guys are south of us, even though there are some guys around here that do it. Then the other advantages of doing tillage, like what we're doing, in addition to busting up the soil and turning it over, is, one second, I gotta jump across this road. I'm not very good at multitasking. Another reason or advantage for it is we are essentially burying the crop residue. So the corn stalks that you see that we're tilling under, we're kind of incorporating it into the dirt. That way all the microbes, the microorganisms inside the dirt start eating. They start feasting. They use those corn stalks as a food source. Those microbes are a good thing. Like, they build up your soil profile. They build up your organic matter, which really helps the crop grow. And at the same time, it gets rid of, or helps get rid of, the disease that is in the corn plants, because each crop has diseases that are specific to that crop. Diseases that aren't harmful to us as humans, diseases that aren't harmful to other plants, but they are harmful to those specific crops. Like, there's northern corn leaf blight, there's, I don't know, gibberella and anthracnose, and like there's specific to those crops. So corn has their own disease, soybeans has their own diseases, but by doing the tillage, we are helping those microbes feed on the corn stalks, which will break the corn stalks down and kind of helps reset the cycle, I guess. And that's also why we do crop rotation. So this field is going to be, it was corn this year, next year it's going to be soybeans. So next year, this year it was corn, next year it's going to be soybeans. And the reason for that, similar to doing tillage, is corn has corn diseases, soybean has soybean diseases. And so if we plant soybeans into a field that was corn the previous year, those diseases don't transfer over. It's one crop's diseases going in. So soybeans aren't susceptible to corn disease for the most part. And so when you plant soybeans into corn ground, you're kind of giving it another year to reset. And so for us on this field, we alternate every other year. So it goes corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans, corn, soybeans. So next year it's going to be soybeans. The next year after that's going to be corn. And so then that way it's always got a year to reset the disease cycle. Corn isn't as bad to plant year after year after year. There are guys in this area that will plant corn every single year in a field. You just have to know what you're doing and modify your farming practice to reflect that. There's certain things that you can do to, I don't know, help mitigate the risk. But I think there's too many advantages to rotating crops between corn and soybeans to not do it. At least the way I see it. So another huge benefit of rotating is that soybeans create their own nitrogen. So they fixate their own nitrogen. So you don't need to put down, with corn, nitrogen is the number one nutrient for corn. The top three are nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But number one is nitrogen. And nitrogen does not make its own, corn does not make its own nitrogen, but soybeans do. And so if you plant soybeans into a field, and they make their own nitrogen, but then you combine that soybean crop, those roots that are still in the ground will release the nitrogen back into the soil, and then when you plant corn the next year, that corn can utilize that nitrogen that the soybean plant released, and then that's that much less nitrogen that you need to put down, i.e. less money that you have to spend on growing a corn crop. And then if you look at two fields side by side. One was corn planted on corn ground, and the other one's corn planted on soybean ground. You can visually see a difference. If all other factors are equal, you can visually see a difference between the two. The soybean stubble just looks so much healthier than the corn ground. So hopefully it's insightful to somebody on here. There's 222 of you, so hopefully somebody picks something up from that. Let's see here. I haven't looked at the chat for a while. Yeah, so most of what we grow, as far as corn crop goes, some of it goes to feed. We've got a pork producer nearby that we like to bring our stuff to. He's a smaller guy. It's not like a big corporation or anything. But the bulk of what we grow, as far as corn goes to our ethanol plant. We all plant probably, I don't know, 20 miles away from us or so. So most of what we grow for corn will go to ethanol. The uses for the list is never ending. There's corn in everything, and it's But for us, most of it goes to ethanol. I gotta get turned around and then I'll look at chat one more time. I think Gary, you asked about replanting. So this is it for us for this year. The answer to your question is going to be different everywhere you go as far as farming. Each crop has their own season. But for us, for corn and soybeans, once we're done with tillage, the year doesn't start again until probably April. As far as this goes, we still we've got a farm store that we sell Christmas trees at. So, I mean, once tillage is done, it goes into Christmas tree season and we're still busy. But as far as the fields go, this is it. But we'll get out here in April. We're about halfway through April, we start planting soybeans. And then beginning of May, we start planting corn. But it's more dependent on soil temperature than it is on calendar date. So I mean, for planting corn seed, you need the temperature to be at least 50 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's more what we look at than we do the calendar. But usually it falls about halfway through April for soybeans, which traditionally in the past, like my dad and my grandpa used to always plant corn first and then soybeans. But as time goes on, the seed technology gets more and more advanced. Our soybean seeds can handle a lot. They're very versatile. They're very, and so we've been planting soybeans earlier and earlier and earlier in the year to the point where we can plant soybeans in conditions that corn really can't, I don't know. You just don't want to plant corn in the cold, in the unfavorable conditions where soybeans are a lot more forgiving. So we like to plant our soybeans. We'll get our anhydrous ammonia down, which is our main source of nitrogen. We'll get our anhydrous ammonia down, and then we'll be planting soybeans, and then we'll plant our corn. So. Windmills go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Yeah, they do. One of my favorite date nights, sometimes I'll take my wife out, and maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but we'll put a blanket, that little box right there, sorry, I'm really bouncy, the little box right there, we'll take a blanket, lay it on top of that box, we'll lay underneath the wind tower, and we'll watch the sunset, and we'll just, I don't know, we've only done it a couple times, but it's, I don't know, it's just really relaxing, listening to that wind tower go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. It's fun watching, looking straight up and watching the blades come down right at you. It's cool. How many hours a day do you have to do this? It all depends on weather. Pretty much as with everything in farming, it all comes down to weather. For this, the weather's important because if I'm looking at the forecast and I see it's going to get below freezing, that moisture inside the soil will freeze, the ground will freeze, and I won't be able to do tillage. And so if I see that we're going to have a deep freeze, we can hit below 30 as long as we come back up. But if we're going to have a deep freeze, then we hustle. And there's lots of years where we keep this thing rolling 24 hours a day. We'll take, if there's two of us, we'll take shifts. If there's three of us, we'll take shifts. I mean, we'll just split the time up accordingly. There's been a time where there wasn't an option to do shifts. I think the longest I've gone was 32 hours straight, but that's very rare. But if we're pushed to it, we'll keep this machine rolling 24 hours a day, and we'll just keep cycling through people. There's really only two. My dad and I are here all the time, and then we've got some high school kids that come and go as part-time guys. So, but right now we're not pressed for time. This is the earliest we've been done with harvest. We've got some time under our belt, so we're really not pushing it. I didn't get out here probably until, I don't know, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock today, and I'm going to be home by 5. So it's really cush right now. Really, I don't know, but it's not always like this. So it completely depends on what the weather's forecasting. So. How far are we from society? So my closest town is about 10 minutes north of me. I think we have a university there, so I mean, our population it's not a huge city or anything, but it's not small by any stretch of the imagination. I'm gonna guess, I don't even know if I can guess, 40,000 people or so. So that's about a 10-minute drive. What do I want to do? Hang on, let me think about this. Alright, I gotta figure it out. There's a specific way you want to work the ground up as far as turning around. Because you can't just take, I don't know if you guys noticed, but you can't just go one pass after the next. Like, you can't just take every pass. You gotta skip. Because you can't turn super tight. You gotta turn wide. But I'm gonna add on to my answer because yeah, we're 10 minutes away from the closest town or from society. We're about an hour away from Chicago. So if you're talking like big city, it's about an hour drive. But if we want to go and get groceries, go to the movies or anything, it's about 10 minutes. No, this is not Kansas, this is Illinois. So we're in northern Illinois, about an hour west of Chicago. Alright, sorry, I'm back. Can you guys hear me okay? I had to check text messages real quick. I've been streaming for about over an hour now, so I had to make sure nobody's trying to get a hold of me. So, let me know if you guys can hear me or not. Sometimes when I switch out of the YouTube app, it gets wonky. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay. Yeah, no, maybe so. Can you guys hear me okay? Am I quiet? Can you hear me? Hello? You guys have sound? No sound? Alright, appreciate it, Asa. Sometimes when I flip out of the YouTube app, it cuts my sound down when I come back, so I'm making sure. And to answer your question, SS, we go about 8 inches deep. So do you farm as well? That's not really I don't think that's really a question that most people ask, so unless you're aware, I guess. Do you farm at all, or are you just curious? Right on, man. What do you grow? Where are you located? You don't have to talk if you don't want to. I don't want to force the conversation. I'm just curious. Dang, Serbia. It's crazy. Sunflower and wheat. See, and that just... Wow, my camera's... I can't tell if that's blurry or if this... Sorry. It just blows my mind how vast the world of the world in general, I guess, but even the world of agriculture is. Like, I would love to come visit you in Serbia and spend a growing season with you and have you teach me all about sunflowers. Like, I think it's so fascinating. So is that all you do over there, or do you have a job in addition to sunflower and wheat? Sorry, I'm picking on you. Nobody else is talking to me, and you've got me curious now. IT Corp, like information technology IT. Okay. So you're getting the best of both worlds then, because you'll sit in the nice air conditioning and maybe behind the screen, and then you get to go out to your wheat and your sunflowers when you're not working. Maybe not. That's kind of how I'm picturing it. I hope that's how it is. I feel like, I don't know, you want that balance, you know? Like, when I'm outside all day, every day, sometimes it's just nice to sit in a desk chair and do office work for a day. But at the same time, if I'm in the office for too long, I just get really squirmy. I need to have a balance. I can't do all, I need to have a little bit of both. I see our hired guy, I think just got here. He's a high schooler. Really cool kid, but he's just got here, and chisel plowing is kind of his job. So I'm gonna give him a call, see if he wants to come and take over this rig, unless he's got something else going on that he's got to work on, in which case I'll stay on here. But I'm gonna go give him a call, see if he wants to come take over. So if I keep chisel plowing, I'll go ahead and start the stream back up, but I have a feeling he's gonna come out here and I'm gonna go find something else to do. So I'll hop over this road and then I'm gonna say adios to you guys. Well, thank you guys. Thanks to everybody who's hung out, watched the stream, broadcast, whatever you want to call it. Kind of informal here, but I appreciate all of you, and feel free to like, subscribe, do whatever, or don't. I mean, if it's not your cup of tea, that's fine too. So, but I hope to see you all around, and I'll catch you guys later.